Now then YouTube, welcome back to another episode of Line Bites. Today you join me down at Manor Farm Lake in York, or just on the outskirts of York. I'm joined with me by my brother, and we're doing a 24-hour session. I've only fished this place once previously, which was just over a year ago, so looking forward to getting stuck in. We're here just for the 24 hours and it should be a decent session. What we're going to do now is unpack the van and then get set up on the peg after we've been for a look round the lake, and hopefully get ourselves into a few fish. Right then, without further ado, let's get out onto the bank and get this session underway. Well guys, it's just coming up about 20 to 1 now, and fishing runs here from 12 till 12, so spent a little time getting set up. We've now got all of our rods out on the spots and we're good to go. So we're fishing down here at Manor Carp Lake, which is just outside Wilberforce in York today. It's the only second time I've been here, so it's approximately 2 acres. It's got about 3 or 4 islands, and the shape of it's a bit like a bow tie. About 80 fish that are in here, going up to about 26-27 pounds, and they're mainly from VS, and then there are also Simmos as well. In terms of the bottom, it's very mixed. There's a bit of silt, and then towards the margins it turns into like a fine sandy bottom. There's a lot of weed in here, a lot of Canadian, and in some places it's almost unfishable. But we're on peg 1 and 2, which is a double peggers. We're having a bit of a social today, and yeah, there's minimal weed. We've got a bit of weed out in front of us, but nothing too daunting. How we're fishing, we're both fishing with solid bags using the same mix. I'll talk you through that later on and show you how we've made that. In terms of bottom baits that we're using wafters again. So I'm using one of my NS Northern Special whites that I've been glugged in the isotonic. On my second rod I'm fishing an SLK wafter, and then on the third I'm fishing the Fruitylicious bright orange as well. So we're just trying to see which one produces the bite. My brother's got a he's got a Fruitylicious on one, and I think he's got a Raspberry on the other, again in little solid bags. How we've been fishing, so when we got here we decided to have a good scout around the lake first, because John the owner said we're the only ones on, so if we want to drop onto some other pegs then feel free to do so. We had a look around the lake, and peg 1 and 2 by far the best option. Had a lead around and we've managed to find a few clear spots. So what we've noticed is the average depth in the margin is about 4 foot. It then drops down to 6 foot. We've found clear spots on those shelves, and we've put solid bags with about half a kilo of bait on each, and the idea is each bite will top that up rather than putting a massive bed of bait out. Got 24 hours on here, so fingers crossed something will emerge. There's some really nice fish in here, like I said, those VS and also the Simmos, but there's some beautiful kind of like koi ghosties in here as well. Aren't massive, low doubles, but they look stunning, and I'd love to get one of those on camera. We're fishing 5 rods between us. The middle rod of mine, well, my right hand rod, the middle rod between the 5 rods is going to be the hot rod, alright, so because my brother's only fishing with 2, we're going to take it in turns if that one should go off to play fish on it. But I mean, we've got to catch a fish first to start with, which would be great. If you enjoy the content and you like what I'm doing, then please take a moment now to hit that subscribe and like button like you would a rod as it was flying off with your new personal best on it. I'll give you 5 seconds to do that now, especially if you've got full screen open, so you've got no excuses. You've got 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You're an absolute legend. Thank you very much. I'll update you in a bit on how it's going. I'm going to sit here, just have a catch up with my brother because it's the last time I'm going to see him for a little while, and take it all in. Right, see you in a bit.
Well guys, it's just come up about 20 to 1 now, and fishing 5 rods between us. So we're fishing 5 rods between the 5 rods is going to be the hot rod, alright, so because my brother's only fishing with 2, we're going to take it in turns if that one should go off to play fish on it. But I mean, we've got to catch a fish first to start with.
And take it all in. Right, see you in a bit. that could only mean one thing. The rod's been out, what do you reckon, 10 minutes?
Yeah.
If that. It was the first rod I put out on the SLK wafter. Fishing up to some lilies, and yeah, it just absolutely tore off. Unfortunately, it fell off, so we'll get it back out on that spot. But I mean, yeah, that's an amazing start. Not happy that we've lost it, but buzzing nonetheless. So fingers crossed it just goes up from here. It's just gone 3 o'clock now, and it's been pretty quiet since that first and only run that we had. Quite annoying really. We've not even seen anything, no liners, absolutely nothing. It's been really quiet. To be fair, we have just seen, well, we've heard a fish jump down at the other end of the lake. Couldn't really ID where it came from, but we're still feeling confident. We had a quick poke around with the deeper, and there's fish around, and they're in the areas that we've got bait, so something should kick off at some point. Like I said, I don't really know this water. I only fished it once very quickly last year. I had one which was I think 15 pounds, and then lost one in the night. So it's yeah, still quite a new water to us. I've realised that I've seen myself off and haven't made a brew yet, so just making a brew, and then we're going to get the rods back out on the spots with some fresh bags on, and see if that produces a bite. The weed in here isn't great. It's not Canadian, but it's still like stringy and quite thick, so we're using drop-off leads for the fish on those inline bags, so if we do get another fish, the lead will come off, and yeah, we're literally just straight through to the fish, which will hopefully bring it up in the water and away from the weed. That's probably what was the drama with that first fish. It managed to get itself into one of the beds, and yeah, I had no hope after that. But I mean, we've got everything to play for, still got a good chunk of time left, so something should kick off. I'm going to continue to watch the water and make a brew, and chill out with my brother. You ready?
Yeah.
Sure?
Yeah.
Gonna be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Smash it.
Smash it.
Natural.
Right, lads, it's start that again.
Lads, what about
Yeah,
girls?
I know, that's what I realised. YouTube. It's just coming up, what, 5:30 or 5 o'clock? I'm not
5
sure.
o'clock, yeah.
5:30.
5:30.
It's just coming up 5:30 now, and we've had absolutely nothing. The closest we've come to any sort of activity is a coot, picking up my left-hand rod.
And you missed it.
And I missed it. Heard a few fish crashing down in the bottom half of the lake, and apart from that, it's been really quiet. I personally think that it'll be dusk into night, early morning that we get bites. We've tried to put the rods out on where the patrol routes will likely be, and I think that during the daytime in this lake, the fish are hauled up in the weed. There's a lot of weed beds in the other 2 bodies of water in the lake, and I think during the night they'll probably come out into this less weedy part, and hopefully where our rods are, they'll get on the munch. Really don't know what to expect from this session. Thought from that first run that we had, within 10 minutes of the rod being in the water, that it was going to be action packed and we were going to smash it, but I mean, it's just not happened. You need to start pulling your weight.
I've got one less rod.
He's not even. We've had one bleep on his left-hander. We've switched. I think we're both pretty much on SLK now, aren't we? I've got one milky malt on my middle rod just to see if that did anything. But yeah, SLK wafters seem to be the shout of the day. We're going to sit here, order a takeaway shortly, and just as it goes dark, we're going to put some bait out on 2 of the spots. So my brother Betty's got his in like a channel between the spit out there and where there's a big bed of weed, natural patrol route for the fish, and where my left-hand rod went off earlier on, just in the channel near the lily pads. I'm going to get some bait out there as well, so hopefully we create a nice feature for them to drop down onto. But I mean, I'm going to leave it there for now. You got anything to add?
No, I just burnt my crotch. Just spilled my tea.
He's just spilt his coffee all over his crotch, so it looks like he's wet himself now. So we're actually having a really good session. Yeah, we'll give you an update when there's anything worth updating you on, because at the moment it's we've pretty much run out of conversation with each other, so let alone talking to the camera. I'll leave it at that.
Bring on the prawn crackers.
Bring on the prawn crackers. Coming at what, about 9 o'clock now? Yeah, 10 to 9, and it's been really quiet, hasn't it, to be fair? Yeah. Had fish boshing around on either sides of our peg, but nothing really. Just had a line bite on my right hand rod, which we've placed under an overhanging tree in the very corner of the swim. That's on a solid bag again with the SLK wafter. But I mean, yeah, it's strangely quiet. I'm still anticipating that we'll get something during the night. I hate it when you get a run in the night, or that's the one that's you're depending on to save a blank, because well, I'm notoriously not good at striking fish at night. I tend to mess it up one way or another, don't I? Yeah.
Knock it in the water.
Yep. Last time, well, one of the first times that I took him night fishing, we went to Raker, and I had a run in the night and tripped over my bivvy on the way out, knocked the rod into the water, didn't I?
With the fish on.
With the fish on. Was able to retrieve the rod next morning. Fish had come off, but end tackle, hook and everything was on it. But yeah, I'm not good at it, so I prefer to catch them during the day and in the evening, last light or first thing in the morning, because I know that I'm not going to mess it up entirely and I'm not going to be half asleep. We're probably going to start winding down shortly. Just had a mega tie from down the road, and yeah, it's been a fun day nonetheless. Would be nice to put a fish on the bank. Starting to feel the pressure of not having done so and having missed that opportunity first thing today when we got here, but you know, we can't do anything about it now, so we just got to keep our fingers and toes crossed that something happens in the night. So fingers crossed I will see you at some point during the hours of darkness, but if not, we'll give you an update on how well we blanked during the night tomorrow morning. Happy?
Yep.
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 Yeah, boy.
It's just coming up. It's just coming up 8 o'clock now, and we've had a pretty quiet night, haven't we? Really. Yeah. Betty's had a few liners throughout the night on his left-hand rod, but apart from that, nothing substantial. But all of a sudden, this morning, the rod ripped off, and we were graced with this lovely leather. It's just gone over 17, and yeah, I mean, it's nice to see a fish on the bank, isn't it?
Yeah.
It fell to the left-hand rod, which is just by the lilies, on that solid bag with an SLK wafter, with the lead fished drop-off style, and that worked. It helped get it out of the weed. really firm hook hold. It was never coming out, was it? It was quite difficult to unhook, and yeah, absolutely buzzing. It's nice to see a fish, because I mean, I was starting to think that this was going to be first blank of the Line Bites YouTube, but you know, luckily this one decided that it didn't have to be that way. Let's get her back. Well, we're just getting the rods back out on the spot. Is anyone else absolutely OCD about having their handles and the reels looking all even and perfect with the other ones? I'm an absolute tart. But it's got to look good to catch carp, doesn't it? That's the rules. So it's just gone 9:30 now, and we've had a refresh on Buddy's rods, haven't we? Put his middle rod in an open spot in the channel, saw a few fish there on the deeper, and the kind of logic behind it is, so we've got 3 channels essentially that come into this body of water that we're in, and yeah, because nothing's happened just on either side of it, maybe the patrol route is right through the centre where the fish are going, so we've dropped a bait on the forward edge of a big weed bed on a clear area, so fingers crossed that produces a fish, and then on your right rod we've just stuck that further down the margin, haven't we?
Yeah.
We've left my rods, with the exception of the one that produced the fish earlier on. Was just receiving liners on the right hand rod. It looked good, didn't it? Looked like it might go.
Yeah.
And then 3 coots decided to swim over it and have an absolute barney, and that rod has now gone dead as anything. We're here until midday. We've had 1 fish on the bank, and to be fair, between the pair of us, we've worked really hard for that fish. So it'd be nice to get you one on the bank, I reckon, don't you think?
That's the dream.
That's the dream. Coot's diving on my spot now.
Good.
Really irritating. Really irritating, but yeah. Manor Farm's a great little place. If you're local to the area of York or willing to travel, then it's definitely worth it. I mean, it's a small lake, 2 acres I think. All the pegs are pretty secluded and quite private, and the fish in here, I mean, that leather that I had was nice and dark and just stunning, really, wasn't it? It was a really nice fish.
Yeah.
I was really happy with it. My plan is to do a breakdown of the rig that I used, and explain different leads and things like that. So I was using a drop-off lead on that one. There's a lot of that weed that I showed you yesterday in here, and just using that drop-off lead meant the fish came straight to the surface straight away, and it was really easy. I've got 2 massive weed beds in front of me. I've got one right in front of the rods, which is why my rod tips are high, and then one just off the spit of the island as well. So getting that fish up and over those was absolutely critical. We managed to do it. I don't know when we're going to be fishing next. I mean, you're fishing at M Lake, aren't you, in a few weeks? And then he's got a lodge booked, Caister Lakes, on their main lake. What's the lake called? Wagtail? No, that's your lodge, isn't it?
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Arthur's,
that's it. He's on Arthur's pool, which apparently has fish up to 50 in it. You're going there in October for a week, aren't you? So fingers crossed he gets some new fish. But I mean, for me, I'm about to go away with work now. I'm going to be pretty much deployed until the beginning of November. So I think it's probably going to be my last session that I'm able to do, really. I always say that on these videos and then manage to sneak another one in somewhere. but I can't see where I'm going to get the time to do it, if I'm totally honest, unless Cass is nice enough to give me one of the few weekends that I do have off, time to go and do some fishing, in which case it'll probably be somewhere like Farlow's or maybe Walthamstow, something like that, around the London area. But I mean, yeah, we're off at 12, as I said. I'm starting to waffle now, so I'm going to call this it. Waffle? I'm starting to waffle, so I'm going to call it here now. I think something's just shown over that right hand rod of mine where we were getting line bites. I'm just waiting to see if it's a coot that comes up. No, it wasn't. So yeah, hopefully before we finish the session we've got another fish to show you. Really want to get a fish on the bank for him. I feel like I've been his bloody gilly for the last 24 hours, so I feel like I'll have failed him if we haven't got something on the bank. And yeah, it's been a good little session, I think, don't you?
Yeah.
You're a man of few words, aren't you?
Yeah.
You don't like being on the camera, do you?
No, I don't mind. Yeah, I'm natural.
You're natural.
Keep it short and sweet.
Sort of short and sweet. That's what she said. Yeah, so scroll out to some B-roll shots now, and hope you're enjoying the video. We are, I think. I'm waffling. Right, silly. Waffling. Right then guys, so we're just drawing to a close now on this session on Manor Farm, Carp Lake, or Manor Carp Lake should I say. Barrows all loaded up. The only thing that we've got left out is the rods. We've got probably about 20 minutes before we reel in and then head off and get on with the rest of our day. It's been a decent session. It's been nice to just get out with Betty. We don't get to do too many overnighters just on our own together, so it's always good crack when we just get to come and chew the fat. So I've not really been that bothered about filming, although it feels like we've done quite a bit. Would have liked to put a few more fish on the bank. I would have liked to put a fish on the bank with you as well, just as a bit of a confidence boost. But I mean, we still had that lovely leather, which went just over 17 pounds, which was really nice. Throughout the night I was expecting something to happen. It didn't, and I was pretty resigned to the fact that it could be my first blank on these vlogs, but luckily it graced us with its presence and made sure that we were able to put another fish into one of these videos again, because it's never nice spending 20 minutes watching a vlog on YouTube to then see that they blanked at the end. I always like to see a fish on it. In terms of videos and things like that, I don't think I'm going to get anything out now until maybe November, fishing wise. That's just because again I'm away with work. But in the interim, I've got lots of little tips and how-to videos coming out which should keep the channel flowing. In the meantime, what I'd like you to do if you can is just hit the like button, hit the subscribe at the same time, and then also the notification. Just gives me that warm fuzzy feeling that you're enjoying what I'm putting out there, and it also helps advertise the video to other people that are on YouTube that maybe would like to watch what I'm putting out there. So we're going to leave it there. Thanks again for watching, and yeah, we'll see you on the bank at some point soon. Say bye.
Peace.
See ya.